evening. I'd like to call the June meeting of the Montgomery County Legislature to order at 6 p.m. Clerk, we have a roll call, please.
Chair Pep.
Present.
Legislator Kelly.
Present.
Legislator Sweet.
Here.
Legislator Allen.
Here.
Legislator Headwell Jr.
Present.
Legislator Wilson.
Present.
Legislator Majewski.
Here.
Legislator Kowalczyk.
Here.
Legislator Pollock.
Present.
All right, please stand for our salute to the flag. Is District Attorney Pearson still here? She isn't. Okay, well then I would like our ROTC individuals to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we recognize those who have fallen since our last meeting. Mr. Charles Goldie of Amsterdam passed away on May 29th. Chuck joined the U.S. Navy in April '71, retiring as a Master Chief in June 1993. His distinguished military career took him across the globe, and he trained in both nuclear power and undersea medicine, and later taught at the Groton Nuclear Undersea Medical Training Facility. Timothy Smith of Nelliston passed away on June 2nd, proudly served in the U.S. Army from 1970 through 1974. George Blaney of Amsterdam passed away on June 5th. He served in the United States Marine Corps from 1971 through 1973. Ronald F. Russick of Amsterdam passed away on June 10th. A proud veteran, Ron served in the United States Air Force from 1959 through 1963. Robert Crawford of Amsterdam passed away Tuesday, June the 10th. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1948 and served both active and reserve duty, attaining the rank of sergeant at the time of his honorable discharge in 1955. He was also my first Little League coach for years 8 through 10 in the Amsterdam Women Minor League. Mr. Joseph Czech of Amsterdam passed away June the 15th. Joe served his country in the U.S. Army from 1951 through 1953 and was part of the occupation force of Germany. Stanley T. Wojcicki of Amsterdam passed away on June 21st. He served his country in the U.S. Navy as an electrician's mate on the USS Midway carrier. He was employed at the Navy Depot. Thomas Butt, uncle of DPW Commissioner Eric Meade, passed away earlier this year. Thomas had served in the U.S. Army from 1961 through 1967. And Mr. Casey Boyd of Amsterdam passed away on June the 23rd. Casey was an employee of ours for the past 20 years, retiring in December of 2024 as our senior printer and composer, and he was a very talented artist as well, and he will be sorely missed by all of us here at the county. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody in our audience who would like to make public comment? Hearing none, we will go right to our proclamations, and our first proclamation will be going to the Montgomery County Junior ROTC. I'd like you all to please come on up here, if you would please, in front of the table. Peter? You know, flank myself and the executive, if you would, please. Facing this way. Facing now. You can step back a little. I like the tight formation now. Whereas the Amsterdam High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC, MCJROTC team competed in the 10K Spartan Super Race in Bethel, New York under extreme weather conditions that included thunder, lightning, and a flooded course, putting their physical and mental endurance to the test. And whereas the cadets exhibited extraordinary resilience, teamwork, and discipline by starting and finishing the race as a united team, showcasing the spirit and values instilled through the MCJ ROTC program.
And whereas this achievement was the culmination of 9 months of intense preparation, including hundreds of miles run and daily high-intensity tactical training sessions, all designed to build the strength, grit, and character needed for such a difficult challenge. And whereas the team was led by First Sergeant James Bautista and Gunnery Sergeant Dana Allison, with Gunnery Sergeant Allison placing 3rd overall in her age group, and Cadet Operations Officer Kimberly Maldonado placing 12th in hers, further exemplifying excellence both in leadership and athletic performance. And whereas the participating team members, Ryan Adams, Cadet Commanding Officer, Kimberly Maldonado, Cadet Operations Officer, Ian McClary, Antonio Billington, Jason Billington, a parent participant, R.J. Rivera, and Miguel Medina stood as proud representatives of their school and community, reflecting the highest ideals of determination, leadership, and service. And whereas the cadets' performance in the race was not only a physical triumph, but a powerful demonstration of the discipline, unity, and leadership development that the MCJROTC program instills in its students, values that shape them as future leaders and engaged citizens. Now therefore, be it resolved, County Executive Peter Vroman and Legislative Chairman Michael J. Pepp, on behalf of the Montgomery County Legislature, hereby proclaim June 24th, 2025 as an official date in Montgomery County to recognize, commend, and congratulate the Amsterdam High School Marine Corps JROTC team for their remarkable achievement in the 10K Spartan Super Race and their continued commitment to excellence, discipline, and determination. You good?
And all of you guys good back there?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll stay up here. Thank you, sir. Congratulations on a job well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, your shoes need some shining compared to theirs. Chairman, your shoes need some shining compared to theirs.
Maybe I can get him to do it.
The Dairy Ambassador and the court.
Yep.
Whereas the dairy industry is the cornerstone of Montgomery County's agricultural heritage, contributing significantly to the local economy, providing jobs and support the well-being of our community. And whereas dairy farms in Montgomery County work tirelessly to produce high-quality milk and other dairy products that nourish families, support local Montgomery County businesses, and enhance the region's reputation for excellence in agriculture. And whereas each June begins a celebration of National Dairy Month in communities across the United States, with origins dating back to 1937. It is one of the oldest annual observances that honors an industry that is core to our agricultural heritage. Whereas it is traditionally recognized as a time to celebrate the dedication of dairy farmers, their families, and the dairy industry, while acknowledging their vital role in ensuring food security and community vitality. Whereas Montgomery County appreciates our hardworking dairy farmers who provide an abundance of healthy and delicious products, and we recognize how fundamentally important the dairy industry is to our agricultural foundation. So this month, we would like to extend a gratitude to our farming communities and their contributions to our lives, and for preserving an honorable heritage. Now therefore be resolved, Montgomery County Executive Peter Vroman, Legislative Chairman Michael J. Pepp, and Legislator Martin Kelly on behalf of the Montgomery County Legislature hereby proclaim June 2025 designated to celebrate June's Dairy Month. And we call upon the citizens in Montgomery County to observe the month with appropriate programs and activities, and to acknowledge the contributions of the dairy industry and New York's dairy farmers.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you for coming.
I doubt it. I'll bring popsicles next time.
I almost brought a neck fan.
We would have checked that.
All right, clerk, do you have any communications?
I do not.
All right, I have one. Congratulations go out to Montgomery County Personnel Officer Nicole Yeagle. She's recently presented the 2025 Merit and Fitness Award by the New York State Association of Personnel and Civil Service Officers. This is the highest award that the association honors. It recognizes a civil service administrator or public official whose exemplary service strengthens the foundation of New York merit system and who demonstrates unwavering dedication to the mission and values. Congratulations. All right, a motion from the floor for the approval of the minutes.
I'll make it.
All right, the legislators Headwell and Kelly. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Motion from the floor for acceptance of the budgetary transfers.
So moved.
All right, legislators Kelly and Kowalczyk. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Acceptance of the procurement record. Legislator Wilson, Legislator Majewski. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Under old business, we have resolution number 142, establishing a sign-on bonus policy for personnel. If there's no action, this will die. Thank you. All right, I'd like to accept a motion from the floor to amend this evening's agenda to include 2 add-on resolutions. Anybody, legislators Wilson and Majewski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Passed.
All right. Our first resolution, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign revolving loan fund agreement for Maine Maven Beauty Salon. Sponsors were legislators Kowalczyk and Sweet. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 153, authorizing the county executive to execute an extra work authorization with Barton LaJudas for professional services local solid waste management plan update. Sponsors were legislators Headwell and Peck. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 154, authorizing the county executive to sign agreements for construction services, Walter Elwood Museum Trail. Sponsors were legislators Wilson and Kowalczyk. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 155, authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement between the Gloversville-Johnstown Joint Wastewater Treatment Facility and the Montgomery County Sanitary District Number 1 for sludge treatment and disposal. Sponsors were legislators Sweet and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 156, amending the 2025 operating budget insurance recovery funds. Sponsors were legislators Wilson and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 157, resolution establishing an intern position and amending the 2025 operating budget. Original sponsors, legislators Kelly and Peck. I have an amendment to this resolution, amending the first resolve clause to read as follows. Be it resolved that the Montgomery County Legislature hereby establishes the position of one intern part-time for the Department of Data Processing to work on a temporary basis beginning on or about June 30th, 2025 for 10 weeks at a rate of pay of $15.50 an hour, grade Q, in the non-bargaining unit and not to exceed $4,000. And adding new before the word intern on the transfer to line. Those are our two amendments. Do I have a sponsor for the amendments? Legislators Kowalczyk and Majewski. Discussion on the amendments?
Chair, my
Yes.
question is we're doing a resolution, and we were told last week that this is gonna go out for advertisement. So has it already gone out for advertisement already? And we're doing this after the fact? Or why didn't this come before us last month and get this done? Because they're gonna hire someone on June 30th. So it just makes it look like it's a
After the fact.
after the fact and it's a done deal.
Do we have knowledge?
So it's not a done deal yet. I'm just looking to see whether, sometimes when something passes on committee, we will try to, because of recruitment and difficulties, we'll try to get it posted in anticipated vacancy. I don't know that this is posted yet. I don't believe it is because I don't have a request to fill vacancy yet. So once this is posted, then it'll be posted for a minimum of 10 days. We'll receive the applications, and then from that point, so the June 30th date was just a placeholder date. That's the start of the next payroll. So that way we could use that as the start of the 10 weeks. We have to have, for temporary assignments, we have to have a start and an end date. So it's kind of a approximate, but it is the start of a payroll, so.
You're right, sir? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Passed.
And now approval of the resolution as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
All right, thank you. Resolution 158, resolution amending the 2025 operating budget CHIPS. Sponsors were legislators Kelly and Pollock. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 159, amending the 2025 operating budget. Sponsors were legislators Sweet and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 160, amending the 2025 operating budget with E-911 Reserve Fund. Sponsors were legislators Wilson and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 161, establishing a full-time temporary deputy sheriff position. Sponsors were legislators Sweet and Pollock. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 162, supporting creation of a centralized arraignment plan for town-village court arraignments in Montgomery County. Sponsors were legislators Sweet and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 163, amending the 2025 operating budget and establishing a deputy sheriff position. Sponsors were legislators Headwell Jr. and Peck. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 164, authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract on RFP 08-225 radio communications tower site work. Sponsors were legislators Pollock and Wilson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 165, authorizing the county executive to enter into memorandums of understanding with municipalities in Montgomery County. Sponsors were legislators Sweet and Pollock. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 166, amending the 2025 operating budget, establishing 2 full-time positions. Sponsors were legislators Pep and Kowalczyk. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 167, amending the 2025 operating budget. Sponsors were legislators Pollock and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 168, amending the 2025 operating budget. Sponsors were Wilson and Pollock. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 169, authorizing a transfer of funds for workers' comp audit costs, self-insurance fund. Sponsors were legislators Kelly and Pollock. Discussion.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to divide the question?
Okay. I'll second it.
Are we on 169?
Yes.
Divided in what way?
Oh, we're on 169, sorry,
Yeah. Oh, that's not the one?
not the one. Got ahead of myself.
Retracted.
Retraction.
I heard nothing.
Okay.
So you know what's coming next.
Oh, I'm ready.
Did you take a vote, please?
Yes, yes, we're getting there. So, original sponsors, legislators Kelly and Pollock for resolution 169. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
All right. Resolution 170, authorizing salary adjustments for elected officials effective upon commencement of a new term. Sponsors were legislators Pep and Wilson. Discussion.
Motion to divide the question.
Okay?
In what way?
Position.
Every position separate?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. And so then why don't you open the discussion?
Was there a second?
Yes, I seconded it.
I just would like to go through it individually.
Sure. No,
Yep.
no problem. No
Yep.
problem. So let's start with the top line.
We just want to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Okay. All right, county executive. Any discussion on that one? Okay. County chairman of the legislature. Any discussion on that one? Okay. County legislators. Any discussion on that one?
Don't we vote on them individually?
We should be voting on each.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then what'll happen is we'll reformat it into a different resolution for each one.
Okay, okay. All right, all in favor of the proposal for the county executive?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Approval for the county chairman salary, proposed salary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Abstentions?
Do you do
Pass.
roll call or?
No, we have 2 nays.
It's just two.
Okay.
Yep.
Passed.
Approval of the county legislator's salary at $18,438.80. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Abstentions?
Passed.
Okay, proposed salary for the head county coroner, $15,000. Discussion. On this particular item, I was approached before the meeting by our personnel Human Resources Director, about the correspondence that you all received upon arrival here from her. And Nicole, could you please just elaborate a bit on on that memo that you were provided and that you in turn provided us as it
Sure.
pertains to this? Yes.
So after last meeting, I said that I would do some follow-up, given that the salary was a bit high, and what the distinction is with the salary that was proposed. And this distinction is that based on the salary study, the company that did the salary study looked at those comparable counties, and most of them are medical doctors. So that's why it is elevated. That's what I suspected after. So I apologize for that. So I also attempted to look at what the distinction is. There is a distinction between head coroner and coroner for the law. For our charter says that the county executive will appoint a coroner. That happened in 2021, where Chris Hanley was appointed as head coroner. So there is a distinction there. In addition, I tried to, I was contacted by Chris and then also spoke with him today, and I know that you had a conversation with him. He provided this letter sent to my office. I wasn't in, and then asked that I provide this to all of you, and it's just a detail of the responsibilities that they have, that he says that they have. He said in follow-up with him that they have shared about 120 cases, with Chris taking on about 50, but also takes on the responsibility of the oversight and paperwork that goes along with unintended deaths. He also made mention that they have seen an increase over the last year or so with unintended deaths due to whether it's suicide or opioids. They've seen an increase. They also said that they are on call 24/7 and use their own supplies as far as vehicle for transportation. They don't ask for reimbursement, and they don't have any county supplies. So that was the gist of the contact with Chris today. I would say that our salaries, based on the salaries comparisons in general, I spoke to to Catapult, is lower comparable regardless. And therefore I do recommend an increase.
Beyond what's already been recommended?
I mean, beyond what's already recommended, I mean, I think that there would be anywhere between 15 and 20 for head, and anywhere between 10 and 15 for coroner. Based on the knowledge that I have at this point, and which is limited.
Does
Let's
this
say
position have the benefits and,
No, so both positions are part-time, and
Yeah.
no part-time employees have medical benefits.
okay.
That's not something that we offer. We do offer benefits for everybody at a full premium, but at the reduced rate that full-time employees get, they're not eligible.
Sheriff?
I'm sorry, this is really none of my business, but I do feel obligated to let you know that every time there's someone who passes away in this county, minus them being on hospice, we require the coroner to come to the scene. And they do so, and they do a fantastic job for us, and it is on the increase. And once the body is pronounced and removed, the job is not over, depending on the circumstances. They also have to set up the autopsies at the different hospitals. They have to communicate with us when those autopsies are gonna be so that we can have a presence. And there's a lot involved. There's body bags in our office that they coordinate with us to replenish some of them when needed. So I just wanted to say that they do provide a very valuable service, and they are essential to us. And I just wanted you to know that we work with them frequently.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
both. So let's go around the room.
I make a motion to bump that head to 20
And
and the county to 15, or the county coroner to 15.
I will second that motion.
I didn't hear the second part.
The 15, the
Head
head county
coroner.
coroner from 15
To
to
20.
20, and the county coroner from 10 to 15, as adopted salaries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Discussion on that. Okay, I mean, do I need to do these individually?
amendment, Pat, we can just reflect the same motion on the two different ones since the question's divided,
Okay.
unless there's opposition to that. So, vote on the amendment.
All right, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
All right, and then all in favor of the, two separate, resolutions, one for the head county coroner at 20, one for the county coroner at 15. All in favor?
Just start with the head.
Okay, head county, I'm trying to combine. All in favor of the head county coroner at 20? Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
All in favor of the county coroner at 15?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
All right, thank you. Resolution 171, resolution
Can you give me
request.
1 second, please?
Sure.
I just gotta catch up to where we are. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Resolution 171, requesting legislation expanding residency requirements for sheriff deputies and correction officers. Sponsors were legislators Pep and Sweet. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 172, setting the date of the public hearing on FMCC's proposed 25-26 operating budget. Sponsors were legislators Pollock and Wilson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
Resolution 173, confirming appointment to the Fulton Montgomery Community College Board of Trustees. Sponsors were legislators Pollock and Sweet. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Passed.
Opposed?
Sorry.
Abstentions?
Passed.
Passed. Okay. And resolution 174, approving the abstract of audited claims. Sorry. Sponsors were legislators Kowalczyk and Wilson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, our first add-on resolution. Calling on Governor Kathy Hochul to veto S.8012/A.8332 relating to the assessment of solar and wind energy systems on behalf of the Montgomery County Legislature. I will
I'll second.
sponsor this. Legislator Kelly seconded. Discussion. Counselor, why don't you inform the rest of the legislature of some of the detail you gave me on this morning, seeking an add-on.
So this is an initiative that is being spearheaded by NISAC, supported, I believe, by the Association of Towns and NICOM. What this legislation does is prohibits the ability of a municipality to fully tax solar and wind large scale. If the previous formula that they had cut it down to about a quarter of what it would be normally assessed at. What NISAC is hoping to achieve is to get this bill at least amended by the governor to take out some of the additional exemptions they want to put in or vetoed. So there are a number of counties, a number of towns, a number of villages that are joining force and hoping we can make an impact on the governor, but this is step one.
And can you remind everyone how many acres of land in Montgomery County are currently occupied by solar fields? 10,000, you said?
We have eight major solar facilities that are looking to come to Montgomery County. It's about 10,000 acres of land.
That's new.
So this is something that would impact us greatly in our ability to fully tax greatly. It would put additional burden on the local taxpayers by having to, we have the tax cap, it pushes everything out. When something is undervalued, everyone else has to pick up the burden. So this is a real local issue for us.
And it takes away home rule law.
In that too. Yes.
Sure does.
And that's one of the
So much for the
arguments.
Constitution.
Yeah, that's one of the arguments NISAC is asserting, is that this takes away the ability of municipalities to tax, which we have that authority.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Passed.
And our final add-on resolution, adopting policy and practice guidelines for the county executive to determine expenditures, limits, and priorities for the 2026 operating budget. I will sponsor that. Do I have a second? Legislator Kelly. Discussion.
Are the dates hard fast?
You know, I was looking at them more closely today, Legislator Kelly. I think, what are you looking at to,
Well, what happens if one falls on a weekend
well,
or
I
a
think what's
closure
happening,
or?
the deadline is October 4th for this first, our own budget will due at the August
Mhm.
meeting. We'll probably have to, will we discuss it at the committee meeting? We usually do, don't we? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then for approval on the 26th. County executive and treasurer are meeting with us on October 14th. They have to do it by the 14th, and the 14th so happens to be a Tuesday that we would do that preliminary review at. The next part is something I wanted to discuss as well. And I don't know that, you know, given my past experience doing this, and some of us been around a while, I don't think we did the executive and the treasurer the same night we started interviewing departments.
No.
We usually don't. So if we're meeting with the two of them on Tuesday, October 14th, to satisfy the October 14th deadline requirement, I think we're gonna have to move, we will have to move the departmental presentations to either sometime, I guess this is a good question. This Friday, if we have to get our amendments in by the 17th, is there any flexibility on that, Counselor? Because, I mean, if we go Tuesday and then Wednesday, Thursday, I mean, it seems like we got another week in there we can use.
Yeah, the 17th is flexible. The red is the charter dates.
Right.
Yellow is, so the 17th is flexible. There's no deadline in the charter for when you guys can get your amendments in.
So, let's look at the calendar.
The 21st would be the committee meetings.
Committee meetings. We could probably, do we wanna do any of that night? We're here.
Good.
And then I guess I would also recommend, if we're gonna do a second night, doing some the next night too, and let's knock it off, you know what I mean?
You mean the 21st, 22nd?
Yeah. And I
And-
guess that's what I wanted to bring up.
And- Leave the 23rd for an additional, cause don't we normally meet 3 nights for the departments?
No, we were
Last year we
doing,
did because we did them all.
yeah, we did them all, and that's what I wanna discuss is, you know, whether we need to or not.
No.
I mean,
Well,
thank you. I mean, I know.
then if there are questions from legislators, then could we request that they come to the
Yes,
last night?
that's where I was headed with this.
Okay.
I think it'd be good to have, you know, our departments come in on the well, you know what?
Because my feeling is, you know, we're taking out what we call the major players. Well, what does that say to the rest of the other department heads? You know, it's their time to showcase their department to us and explain where they might want some assistance or, you know.
Well, how many of them, I missed one of them because I was away, but I did get, you know, and I
Not
wasn't
many of
involved in
them.
the decision-making last year.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I wasn't in this seat, but, and it seemed like it was worth a try, okay? I mean, we usually, these 5 departments are 75% of the budget, you know? So you're touching the meat of the program. But, and last year, my recommendation was, how about another night as needed? You know, if anybody wants to come in, or if anybody has a question for one of the other, smaller departments, financially speaking, let's provide them a night to do it. You know what I mean? And, for us to call them or them to come, you know what I mean? You know, but,
Present it if you want to come
yeah.
on the 23rd.
Yeah, well, let's pin these dates down then. You know what, I'm thinking, we do them the 14th, the executive and the treasurer. I mean, it'll be a heavy night to have our committee meeting and then have these power departments come in. No?
Well, at that point of the year,
What doesn't?
Resolutions.
All right, as long as everybody's okay with that,
Resolutions are-
I don't mind staying a couple.
The 14th isn't a committee.
No, 21st.
No, I know that.
as we're nailing it, do we want data processing here, since it seems we're always updating our, whether it's phone
Yeah,
lines or,
Well, I mean, I don't know that, I think if they should fall under the wild card department night, let's put it that way. You know what I mean, given the size of their budget. If you wanna call them here, we should call them here.
well, I would just hate to see an incident like we had this year where,
Mhm.
oh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we
That's
have
fine.
Frontier that we,
Yeah,
They were here last
all
year.
right, so, but I mean, is that, so everybody's okay with, inviting public health, personnel, sheriff, DPW, and DSS, on the 21st to come after our committee meetings?
I think we want to split that,
yeah.
2 nights,
Yeah.
21st,
So
22nd.
then we're gonna have a third night for the wild cards? That's what I'm trying to get out of, get out of the way, you know
Well,
what I mean?
I think committees in those 5 are,
How about this? How about we do committee and wild cards
on the
that night,
21st.
on the 21st, and then do the major departments the next night, the 22nd? For lack of better, you know.
All on the same night?
No, no,
I still think,
yes, yes, yes.
I just think it's an awful lot of departments, those departments that do all in one night. And if you really wanna go down through and, unless you're just going to stamp what they,
All right.
what they're like.
All right, well then, let's think of a good way to spread the big ones out and the wild cards over those 2 nights.
Well, why don't we do the wild cards the committee night?
Yeah,
That'll be small,
Yeah.
smaller.
but we may be able also, it may be so small that we may be able to sneak in a department or two, too.
At that point, you don't know.
Well, I
You have to
think if
schedule
Yeah,
you're,
it
but,
out. You gotta schedule it out.
I think if you're going to split them, personnel and DPW, you know, only because DSS and public health
Should be
kinda have
together.
to go together.
yeah, they should go together. All right, so, why don't we do on the 21st, let's do 2 big departments and the wild cards after our meeting. We'll do, personnel and DPW on the 21st and wild cards. And then,
Full house.
yeah,
I'm gonna suggest we do the sheriff on the night of on Tuesday night, because he always comes to the meetings and he's always here. Why make him come one other night?
you know what? That's a good thought, Legislator Hadwell. All right, let's then do, sheriff and personnel on, the 21st. Plus any other department that wants to come or that we choose to call. And then on the 22nd, Wednesday, we'll have public health, DSS, and DPW. And that meeting will be at, you know, if we wanna do it at 5 o'clock if that works for everybody, just to, you know, it's not a formal, our committee meeting's gonna start at 6, so we have to start that night at 6, but that night we could start at 5 if everybody's all right with it. Anybody got a problem with that?
We can actually do the other departments at 5 o'clock too. We could do that at 5 o'clock and then just go to our committee meetings.
Yeah, but what if they take more than an hour?
We'll finish them at the end.
I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
just,
I wouldn't wanna start it and then have to have them sit through a meeting and, you know, but I
So why don't you start the committee at 5?
It's also your public hearing, just in case somebody shows up. It's your first
Yeah.
public hearing
The first public hearing is, the
on the
21st, right?
21st.
All right, so 21st, we got sheriff and personnel. And any, other department that
Yeah.
would want to proactively present or that we would otherwise want to come, like like data processing, as legislator Kelly pointed out, that he may wanna do. And then on the 22nd, we'll do public health, DSS, and DPW, and start it at 5.
And changes by that Friday, October,
17th.
It
no.
would be the
Or
24th.
I'm sorry, the 24th. That would be the corresponding change there.
Are we still doing straw votes on the 21st?
We can't if we,
You can.
we can't if we turn any other things in after that.
We can do straw votes on the night of the full board meeting.
28th?
Yeah, the meeting to adopt the budget, you could have a public hearing and then a meeting to adopt the budget and do, I guess, that gets messy though.
No.
So Mike, the 14th, we're just doing what are we doing on the 14th now?
County executive and
The
treasurer.
14th is just the executive and the
It'll
treasurer.
most likely be when majority of everyone sees it for the first time.
Yeah. So, we go.
Well, you could add,
Sorry about this, people, but this is
So what if we do the straw vote on the 24th, or whatever
How
our
about-
full meeting is, and meet the following week to budget?
do
Or-
we need to do a straw vote in a formal meeting? Or can we do it the night of the 22nd after the department's meeting?
if you're taking action, we would wanna notice it as legislative action instead of a workshop.
Okay.
And I think the straw vote is also to give time for people to submit their recommendations.
Right.
So if we do it on the 22nd,
So the 21st is a regular meeting.
then
It's a meeting.
So, why don't you have the suggestions in by the 24th?
Mhm.
Tuesday, 28th, we have the second public hearing, and then we could do a meeting for the straw votes, and then we'll schedule another meeting to adopt the budget.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we've often adopted the budget.
let's do it election day.
Like that. All right, so come again with that, Counselor?
Tuesday, October 28th, second public hearing at 5:55, instead of adopting the budget, you can do straw votes.
Okay,
And then we can add another date to adopt the budget. You have until November 10th. You could do another meeting then the following Tuesday, November 4th.
Election day.
When is the second public hearing gonna be?
On the 28th.
That'll be our actual,
28.
So we're doing straw vote and the
Yeah,
public hearing that same
yes,
day?
yes. Okay,
You just need to pick another date to adopt the budget.
yeah, I would say, looking at November,
That is-
wanna do it on Monday the 3rd?
Your choice.
Yeah, let's do it Monday, we don't wanna do it on election day.
do you wanna do it before the election?
And, we're not gonna be meeting until the 18th and the 25th.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, let's do it the 3rd,
Monday, November 3rd.
Monday, November 3rd. All right,
Chair, can I just back up a second?
yes, you can?
Since I'll probably have to put this together.
Yes, Robert?
Megan, the legislators will submit changes to the clerk of the legislature by Friday, October 17th. What's that going to change to?
The 24th.
24.
The 24th, thank you.
Okay, so 14th, treasurer and executive. 21st, we do committee, we do personnel and sheriff. 22nd, and wild cards. 22nd, we do, public health, DPW, DSS, and I suppose any other wild card, if we have an idea, we wanna call somebody, let's do with that. We'll leave both nights open for wild card, how about that? And then, submit changes by the 24th. And then straw votes on the 28th, and then our adopting of it on the 3rd.
Is there,
And the 24th, you're gonna meet at 5 PM, correct?
Yes, 22nd.
22nd,
The 22nd.
yeah, that's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep.
And the deadline to file, October 5th is a Sunday, so will we get that on the Friday or the following Monday?
usually we get the grace period of Monday.
Okay.
All right,
You have a motion.
all right, a motion
So
on the
moved.
floor to adopt, second, legislative suite.
I'm sorry.
Motion to adopt it as amended, the schedule as amended. Legislators Kelly and Sweet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Passed.
And a motion to accept the resolution as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Chair, while we're talking about this,
Passed.
Yes, sir.
is this the time also to discuss what we're gonna be, what format we're gonna be looking for when we're looking for documentation so we can compare? I mean, we talk about it every year, I'm not sure if we even get it every year.
It was,
You mean materials?
Well, we wanna see,
Format, we want, you know, we want to
It
say
was-
priors, year-to-dates.
it was included with the schedule.
Yeah. It should be on the back.
is that what we're looking for, Brian, on some of those things, or no?
I think you modified it last year to what you were looking for.
I don't see that.
Hmm?
Up here?
Yeah, here's, it begins, and then,
Over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not given, that's not listing out,
The materials.
that's the materials, but that's not listing out priors, year-to-dates and that sort of thing. You know, how we usually have the worksheet that shows
Last year.
last year, year before, and then we also have a year-to-date and,
Is
As
listed on
amended.
the resolution?
I don't think so.
No, I have no resolution, what I'm saying is that's something we need to talk, we need to talk about it sometime, and instead of,
Yeah.
we're talking about budget now, is this what we talked about it
Yeah,
now?
we can, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we can,
That's provided from the executive and the treasurer.
Yes.
correct.
I think, you know, as we're working through our budget on the 26th, we can see how we want it laid out. That gives them enough time to put their budget
Yeah.
together and
Well, I
get
will
us the.
say this, I intend to have some workshops, like we've done the past several years with a handful of us with the executive. Now, I mean, I will be there and the chair of the budget finance will be there, so that really only leaves room for two others without it being a formal meeting, and I don't, you know, I know the three of you are very interested in being there, as well, but, you know, we can only have two at a time, so, and you all add value, so I don't, you know, I don't know if you wanna decide on when we do those, when we call them, between yourselves, legislators Kelly, Sweet, and Headwell,
Well, I think when they are posted, you know, we can,
you can discuss, you know, who will show up to that one.
because I
all
think
of
the
you have a lot of
department, I think
experience
the chairperson of that committee should also be there, so they're really,
That's what I said.
no,
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 of each
of
committee.
so if you're doing DSS, Health and Human Services, chair should also
Oh, I
be
see what
there,
you
so there would only be one spot available.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if somebody says, oh, I'm really not going, you know, it would be
Right.
nice to know that in advance
Yeah.
too.
So executive, we will do that. I mean, you know, in the month of probably, you know, one thing I mentioned last week, myself, the chairman of the budget and finance, yourself, and Sean, mid to late July, we're gonna have a little skull session, okay, about general dynamics of the budget, okay? But then, to prepare you for the work, you know, give you an idea of what you're gonna need to come to the meeting with for the workshops that will include the Budget and Finance Chair, myself, and 2 other legislators, where we start talking about, you know, the amounts that we're looking at here. You know, how much fund balance do we wanna use? You know, what's the sales tax gonna look like? How do we stay under the cap? You know, this department's asking for this, well, maybe they can't have it, because if they have it, then, you know, we're gonna go over the tax cap, you know. So there's a lot of expansion and contraction, and a lot of give and take during these workshops. So that by the time you get here with Sean on, you know, October 14th, we already know an idea of what, you know, parameters this budget's going to be operating within. You know, we'll know, okay, it looks like we may only need, you know, we may need to use this much of the fund balance. We may have to jack sales tax up to this from here, you know, things like that. So may have to cut back this department's request, you know, so Legislator Kelly.
And that generally is after the departments have already submitted back
Yes,
to
which
him.
is not, they're
That hasn't, yeah,
that stuff's not gonna come in, as you can see this here, I mean, that's why I don't wanna get the cart before the horse in that regard, is that, August 15th, they have to submit their budgets in by, right? That's the top line, submissions of estimates and appropriate by the head of each unit of the county government. So, they're not even gonna have
right.
the material, what the requests are. We should probably do budget workshops the last couple weeks of August, you know,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
you know, so.
Not legislative workshops necessarily,
Yes,
it's executive.
Yes. All right.
Meetings.
All right, any further discussion?
I got one thing, go ahead. Oh, I got one thing,
Ready for
other.
motion to-
No, I actually have other.
Oh, go ahead.
So our coroner gave us this letter.
Yes.
Is that something that we would be looking at, possibly doing a charter amendment and making it an actual appointed position, the coroner positions themselves instead of elected, so that we can transition into having a third coroner too?
There's a couple different ways we could do that, but I think what he meant is that he wants another position, like what you guys added in the fall. When was that?
Deputy.
Another
We
deputy.
put deputies already in.
Yeah, I think he wants
They're
another
already
deputy.
We already have 2 deputies there.
They're appointed positions.
I think he's, instead of talking about splitting it into a third elected or making them all go appointed, I think he's asking about just adding in. Because technically, right now, his second is a deputy. I think he wants another one.
So there are 2 elected positions, right?
There's 4 elected positions.
Yep.
And then there are others?
There's
Yeah.
there's two deputy positions.
They're just not filled.
They're not filled.
Oh.
Isn't one filled?
No.
One is filled.
Is
With
it?
with who?
No. With who?
No,
Oh, is he elected right now?
He's elected, both
Oh.
of them are, right, one is filling, is he filling or just got elected? The school is?
No, it's just
He was,
elected.
I think he was appointed by this
yeah.
legislature.
To fill the vacancy.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
that's what
it
it
came
was.
up
It's an
in
elected.
midterm.
Yeah. That's what it
I
was.
think they have to election that.
But
But-
he's not running, is he? I heard that one of the seats, anyway, I heard one of the seats.
So
wanted-
I guess that leads to, would it make sense for us to look into not having elected coroners and making them appointed, you know, so that they're filled?
That's certainly something other counties do. The coroner model is different in many of the counties. We can definitely look at different restructuring
looking at.
areas.
Yeah, because if someone doesn't run for the position,
Then we gotta appoint somebody.
then there's no one there.
Yeah.
Was your understanding he wanted a third elected coroner or another deputy?
I didn't personally have that part of the conversation with him, so,
Okay.
I just know in previous years we've had an appointed deputy.
Yeah.
But I think no matter which way you go, you're gonna have a difficult time recruiting.
I agree. But
Well, I think it's a great point, Legislator Kelly. So let's investigate.
especially with the uprise that we've been having.
Legislator legislative suite, did you have something?
Yes, I was trying to do a little research on prior meetings, and I went to our website, or to the county website, looked at prior meetings. The last meeting published for this year was our, organizational meeting. Could we maybe get Dan to update that to at least
The
June,
last meeting.
May? The last meeting posted video is.
Video?
Video is our organizational meeting. Now, you can go to YouTube and sometimes you can find stuff, but you can't, it's hard,
It's not in chronological
Right.
order at all.
no.
And it's
So-
not on the website.
What's that?
And it's not on the website, just.
The last video that's posted is the organizational meeting from January. So we've got 5 months of videos that are just,
Send it out there.
so, if you could have them update that, that'd be great.
Thanks.
Certainly talk to
Chair.
us.
Legislative question.
I heard from one of my constituents recently regarding Amsterdam Youth Baseball and how they would like the county website to be, to promote their league and maybe have links to their different league. They're looking specifically at, this is a 13 to 15-year-old, but I think we should be supporting all youth baseball in the county. So,
And that could be something the youth bureaus tab
Okay.
has,
okay.
I would think, right?
Tourism.
And the youth department, youth bureau.
Yep. The
Yeah.
tourism comes
Yeah.
right to mind,
Yeah.
Morgan was here earlier. I'll let her know.
Okay, and if she wants to get in touch with me, I can put her in touch with him.
We'll do that.
Okay.
All right, is there any other items for discussion?
Motion,
Thank you all for your. input
Motion to
tonight.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, legislative Kelly Foster, meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Probably the only